Hey yo, G Dash, boy, take your hat off. Fine. This week on Hats Off with G Dash
Hats
Jones.
off for G Dash Jones. We in the building. I feel like this is the one right here. hmm There we
I
go.
can see you.
See, and I knew it. See, that's what it was. I told you that. Listen, it was a red flag. I seen a red flag, like when her baby daddy just get out of jail, and
Oh
you
man.
still be thinking like maybe I should. It was that type of red flag. All right.
Have you ever had this many problems
No,
before?
but but it makes you stronger.
That's what it does.
That's a fact.
That,
That's a
that's
fact.
what it
We are
does.
here. We here now. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question that I asked you before,
hmm
and I love to answer, but I'm gonna ask it again because the world needs to know. When I say it, because I said, hey, my man Darnell Miller, can you tell the people what you do? And you named 5011 jobs. Okay, you
But
did,
it's
you did, you did.
but it's all connected to one source. You know what I mean?
Okay, so can you tell the people a little bit about what you do and tell a little bit about yourself one more time for me, please?
I'm a musician. I'm a singer, songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm a teaching artist. I'm a curator. I love to, book shows and put shows together and curate shows. Um, and other than that, hopefully I try to be a nice human being.
There, there it is. That was the most important part. When he said he was a good human being, I said, oh, that's the one.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything else.
yeah, definitely.
But you also are rather humble, sir, because you done shared some stages. You done been on some stages. You done did some things, good brother.
I've just been very grateful to have been in certain places. But the thing is, I want more. You know what I'm saying? But I'm grateful for where I've been. I'm so grateful because it all was a lesson. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful, like for real, like grateful.
Oh,
But
yeah.
at the same time, don't minimize my experience.
Talk about it. Somebody put that on a shirt. Don't minimize my experience. Y'all
Yeah,
need to know.
yeah. I'm not first of all, you know, everything you have can be taken away, but at the same time, I can't negate every place I've been or deny, you know what I'm saying? Good, bad, whatever, big, small, like you can't don't minimize my experience. Like don't try to Sunday in a conversation.
Right. I love it. I love it. So let's rewind it back a little bit, right? Because they need to know why they can't sing you. They need to know a little bit why. So can you tell them tell the world what led you on this music journey?
Well, it really started from as a kid. Music is like kind of in my family. It's very sporadic, but if we do it in the family, like we do it. Like I have a cousin that was approached to play in Prince's camp at one point. I have two cousins that had deals with like one with Young Money at one point. So when we do it right. But the journey for me started as a kid, and I have to really credit my parents. May they both rest in peace. First, my father. I guess they got tired of me beating on stuff and banging on stuff. And when we would stop at McDonald's, I would sing the order into the thing. Like I'd be singing into the thing, and my mom had to apologize because he's singing into the thing. So music started very young, and I don't really know when it first connected, but my first musical memories are around 4 or 5. And then so my dad saw that I had like a liking to it, so he started to cultivate that himself. He brought me on my first record, my first stereo, my first everything. He was like, if you're going to do it, at least listen to this. And this will set you on the right path. you know. But
Wow.
it goes to my both of my parents. We come from a musical, like even if we're not musicians, we love music. Like my mother always sang, my father used to play guitar and harmonica, and I used to lay in the bed with him while he was playing the guitar. So we come from like just we love music, even to this day, my whole family. So
So how did now I gotta kind of ask, how did you go from just a youth playing some stuff and getting engaged to wanting to be on stages and performing in front of people?
I mean, it started at a young age. I remember Motown 25. When the Jacksons came out and Michael did that moonwalk, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I grew up like most black people from my generation, we grew up in church. You know, the most interesting thing is that I grew up in a predominantly, I grew up in a multicultural, charismatic church. This was the 80s. It wasn't like it is now. I grew up, so it was white, black, African, West Indian. So I had the privilege of being exposed to not just gospel, but a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I always wanted to do something. Like, I always wanted to do something. First time I got on stage, I was 9 years old at a school talent show, and nobody knew that I could sing. So this is a funny story, because I was outgoing. When I was younger, I was really outgoing and all that kind of stuff, but I just never sang. I was always goofing off and stuff. And they had a talent show. I was about 9. I would be probably fourth grade, 3rd or 4th grade. And I got up there and I sang this song called "Eye Trouble." And it's so funny. The minute I opened my mouth, it was like everybody in the auditorium was like, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this. You know what I mean? So I always loved music. And so early on, like, again, I was exposed to everything. And so I got into a lot of, I loved everything, you know, all kinds of music. But at one point, I wanted to play an instrument. I took piano. I didn't like it for a while. I took it again. You know, it didn't work out. I played drums. That was okay. I put it down. And then I picked up the guitar, and like something like, it was like, you know, and at that time I was really into like, you know, stuff like Motley Crue and like that whole thing, because that's where the guitar players were. If I was going to do it, I was going to do it like those cats. This is before I even heard of Ernie Isley or whatever. So by the time I got to Ernie Isley, I was like, you know, blown away. So yeah, that's how it kind of started. So I knew, like, I'm going to form a band, and I'm going to be a rock star, and I'm going to be the fastest, youngest guitar player. That was my goal when I was a teenager, you know. And then somebody beat me to it. He was like a 12 or something. So, you know.
You was right there. You was right behind him. He ain't know it.
I was
Listen.
right behind him. I was right behind him. But I always was doing stuff. You know, I thought I got into this whole Winans phase, and I thought I was going to be BB Winans. And I think Precious is on here, but she used to sing with me. We were like BB and CC. We sang all the BB and CC songs. I thought I was the Lost Winans. I was just always trying to figure it out, you know, and making up my own songs and this, that, and the other, you know. So, I cannot remember a time that I didn't want to do this.
Wow.
I never wanted to do anything else.
Is that how you got into writing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to write, but was pretty scared. But I used to make up songs even as a kid, and I really started writing around middle school. Back then, you know, I don't know. I felt like if I was going to do it, I have to write. It wasn't even like a thing, you know. I just felt like if I'm going to do it, I have to write songs, and so I would make up these like weird little, like, you know what I mean? But I would write like every day. Like, I would write every day. You know, I would just write nonstop. And so over time, people were like, oh, you can write pretty good. So I believed them. And so I just kept on doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I got to pause. By the way, y'all listening, come here. Here's the thing, right? When people say that you're good at something, believe them.
Even if you want to do something else.
Talk about it like that.
Even if you say, I don't want to be a writer, I want to be this. I struggled with that for so many years. Like, I want to be a star. I want to be the star. I want to be the star. And I'll never forget it. I went to see Janet Jackson at Radio City Music Hall. I forget what year it was, but it was a tour where she had like the really short hair. And went to see, and a buddy of mine was her musical director, Adam Blackstone. And I was like, oh, snap, that's Adam. So I'm texting him. And, you know, at this time, we knew of each other. So we weren't like cool. We kind of knew of each other. So after the show, he was like, yo, come back, come around. So I go around, and we're all talking, and I'm, you know, talking to everybody. And Adam goes, and I don't know I still don't know how he knew this. He was like, yo, I hear you're a really good writer. Like, we got to get you on something. So and I would hear it like every now and then, like, and I said, you know what? I'm a writer. You know, if I never get on the stage, I know that I'm a writer. And sometimes we sometimes we have these dreams and aspirations, but that may not necessarily be the thing that we need to focus on at the moment. You know what I mean? If people are telling you, like, you know that you're a gifted a tailor, you know what I mean? But people are like, wow, you really sell these products good. Focus on that first, build off of that, then you can become a tailor. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think that's the universe, that's God's way of telling us, I got you, but you got to take one step at a time. You're going to end up in the same spot, but you got to start somewhere. And this is the place where you start. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes. Get great at what you're good at, and then do what you want.
Yeah. So
get great at what you're good at. Yes, I love that. Okay, all right. So now you on these stages, you literally learn how to do everything from the rooter to the tutor. So you could perform, you could play, you could sing, you literally could do all the parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you knew you could do all the parts, how did you know which one you wanted to make money off of? Ooh.
Well, here's the thing, and the thing is, when you do like more than one thing, even though it's connected to the main source, which is music, certain groups want you to do this. So for a while, especially when I first got into it, when I first fell into doing it professionally, I didn't pursue it. I wanted it, but I didn't pursue it. And I fell into it. So when I first started doing stuff, it was like, oh, just come and play guitar. That was the big thing. Come and play guitar on this song. And then it became, oh, no, you can write. So here's some tracks. Finish these songs, have them done by such and such. You know what I mean? And a lot of stuff I learned over time. I could write a song, but if I had to sit with a vocalist, if I was writing a song for somebody and I had to sit with a vocalist in the studio and kind of tell them what to do, I couldn't. But I learned how to vocal arrange and talk them through it and all that kind of stuff. Other things like production, it just came from hanging around people that always did it. And I didn't really want to be left out because I knew I liked that too. I grew up, I'm from the era where we learned about L.A. and Face and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Foster and McElroy and all those people. I'm a guy that reads album credits. You know what I mean? So we you know, I knew I wanted to do that too, but didn't know how, but I just started being around people. So the thing that was making me the money for the most part was guitar. And that's what I did. You know, nobody wanted me to sing, even though I thought I was a decent singer. Nobody wanted me to sing. They wanted me to play guitar. And so that's what I went with. And then it was like, oh, you can write too. Okay, well, just come to this session and see such and such and such. You know what I mean? So that's really that's how I go with whatever the flow is going. You know what I mean? And you have to do that as a musician. You have to do that because what's that book that talks about who moved my cheese? As a mouse, sometimes your cheese is not where you left it last. Sometimes your cheese gets moved, and so you got to go get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So I'm going to say this.
However it's flowing.
Listen, and by the way, the world needs to know that's not just in music. That's why they say have multiple revenue streams. Because technically, if this stream ain't streaming, you need to get over there to the one that's coming the way that it need to come. So you gotta have different lanes in that, John.
You have to. I believe in that wholeheartedly. You might come in the industry one way, whatever industry you're in, but while you're there, you better pick up stuff along the way. You know, if you're just a singer, don't come in as just a singer. Find out what else, ask questions, be curious. They said Michael Jackson was the most nosiest, curious little kid they ever met. He was constantly asking questions to the point where it was like, will you shut up? But look what happened. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to do some research to be the king of pop. You can't just walk into being the king of pop. With that said, I feel like it's the perfect time to ask you about the music mentor. So all right, fine. So you was doing all that stuff. You was creating all of these things, and you was making the music. What made you want to be the music mentor on the other side and kind of educate other people to it?
Well, again, I kind of fell into everything, and it never was like, oh, this is what I want to do. It really started as just me being a teacher in the classroom. It wasn't, You know what I mean? I was just a teacher in the classroom. And
What, what, what did you teach?
I was teaching music. So I was what they call a teaching artist, which is a really big buzzword in the teaching education community. A teaching artist is an artist that's active in the field and brings that experience into the classroom, and then also blends it with, you know, the other curriculum. So I started doing that. I was actually kind of trained and mentored under Ray Jones Avery at the Christian and Cultural Arts Center. Shout out to Ray Jones Avery. You know, and she kind of walked me through that. She was the one that suggested maybe you should go into the classroom, because I would, first of all, at the time I was like, no, I don't even like kids. I know it's weird that I'm saying that now, but I had been out with Ty Tribbett for like a long time, you know, and then that kind of went left, you know, for the whole group. It kind of went left for us. And I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? And I didn't, you know, I had to do, this was a season of like soul searching and identity searching, because my identity was connected to so many things that now like most of that was gone. So it started just as a suggestion. And as time got on and I got older, like I would run into these musicians that would see me like, oh man, oh my God, you know, not just me, but just me and connected with Ty Tribbett, the gospel artist. Man, oh my God, you guys were the best. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Like I would get that all the time. And so they would ask me questions and I would just basically share based off of my experience. And so as time went on, it would just, you know, more people, people would come across my path and I would just share with them stuff, and it just became that way. So I feel like now I realize that part of my mission is to, you know, help artists that are already out there that have questions, but also pour into like these young kids that want to be artists. I love doing that, teaching like these kids how to record and write and play. I just had an amazing year with a bunch of 7th and 8th graders at Coombe Academy, and like the stuff we did, the adults were like, how did you do that with them? It's just simple. I mean, I believe I'm called to do it. That's one of the things I'm called to do. So, you know, when you're called to do something, you can actually do things that other people necessarily can't do. You can succeed in certain places. Not to say you're better than those people, but it's like when you're called to do something, the calling never comes without the equipment. So you already have the equipment to get the job done. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. You might not be better than them overall, but you're better than them right now. Okay,
Right.
like
I'm the best.
It's your time.
I'm the best Darnell. That's it.
That's
And everything
it. Oh,
learning
by
to
the way,
connect.
I hope anybody watching this just looks around and reaches down, because there's gems all over the floor right now. He just dropping gems, y'all. Like just left and right. Just he got the gems flying out at you. So y'all gonna need to partake in some of these gems.
I ain't got no gems, brother.
Listen,
Only gems I
you
got
got
is gems and the holograms. I don't know. I don't know.
listen, you got all of them. So I gotta ask, and this wasn't even planned, but now I'm thinking about this. So what was your favorite stage to play on, or your favorite show to be a part of? Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, I know I did that. I know I did that.
There's so many. So I remember it's a couple, because a lot of them are attached to experiences, good or bad. I remember one of my favorite gigs. This is when I was with Ty Tribbett, and we were like on this tour. It was like Ty Tribbett, Mary, and I forget who else. Because that was the first time we were all kind of meeting Mary. And we did this show in Millennium Park in Chicago. If you've ever been to Chicago, Millennium Park is like this huge park, and it has an outside stage. It is gorgeous. And I just remember we were doing the show, and I looked out, and it was just a sea of people. You know what I mean? You know, that's one. Africa, we did Nigeria, which was crazy. It rained, and it was like 40,000 people. It rained, and it was so funny. We're in a tent with all these, like Fred Hammond, Donnie McCarthy, all these people. And it started raining, and I remember Ty's manager at the time was like, listen, them girls ain't going out there to get their hair wet. You know how that goes. it started pouring down. And it was so funny. It was right after Mary had just got done saying Shackles. And it was like thunder. As soon as they got off the stage, it poured down rain. And the people of Nigeria did not go anywhere. They took chairs and put them over their head. And so when the rain died down, we got out there and just like, I mean, we ripped that stage up. I mean, there's so many, but that's one. And then when we did a TV taping with Mary. Like we played for Mary. That was fun. That was fun. That was, and we got to like rehearse with them, and then it was like, you know, Lorianne Gibson, she was doing choreography. All that was funny. It was hilarious. It's so many and I've got to meet like Stevie, like just there's so many reasons. Like Knott's Berry Farm, I got to meet Stevie Wonder, which was I bumped into him. You know, he didn't bump into me. I'm the one that can sing, right? You know,
I was gonna make that joke. I'm glad you did.
You know, but yeah, you know.
So what happened when you bumped into Stevie? How did that happen? Like, what?
You know, I'm always the type of person. Even when we were done playing, I would still hang around backstage. You know, that was just me. Because I mean, you know, and so I'm walking, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, and I didn't realize. I was like, oh my God, that's Stevie Wonder. You know, it's crazy.
Wow.
You know.
So then you introduced yourself, but he wouldn't recognize you. Never mind.
Oh, shit. Wow. I have so many. It's so many. Like I got to play with one of my guitar heroes. A show. His name is Jonathan Dubose. He played for like Harry Connick Jr. Everybody, and he.
Jonathan Dubose. If y'all don't know a legendary guitar, listen, Jonathan Dubose. Look him up ASAP.
Yeah, he came in. Everybody warned me. He's like, if you meet him, he's going to act strange, but he's okay. And I remember walking on stage, and he looked at me. He was like, come here. He was like, I love you. And then we proceeded to sound check. Like, I don't even know if I played. Like, my mouth was open the whole time. But it was a great experience to play with him. Like, that was amazing. That's my top. That's the top.
Right, I can imagine. Did you know that he knew who you were at that time? Like,
no,
did you already know?
Here's the thing: we at that time. This sounds like a Ty Tribbett story interview, but at the time, we did not know. I mean, people like I remember we did this church in Cali, and the guys from Tony came up to us. We didn't know because first of all, we were struggling. Second of all, we was just going nonstop. So people would come up to you, like even to this day, like, oh, I know who you are. I remember you, like people that I wouldn't even imagine. You know, that speaks but that also speaks to the effect that we had on people as a unit, not just me, but us as a unit. So I'm always been grateful to be a part of that group. You know, and many others, because that led me to other things. If I wasn't with Ty, I would have never got the chance to like be on like some Eric Roberson albums because I was with, you know what I mean? And so
yes. Well, look at man. Okay. Would you ever get back to would you ever try to do a reunion situation
with Ty Tribbett? They've tried it. I mean, you know, some people would say when hell freezes over. I'm open to it because, look, I'm open to it, you know, because listen, nobody is getting any younger. Time is moving on. And I think that somebody just said Soundcheck is one of the greatest bands. I would have to agree. And I'm saying that from the outside looking in. I'm not opposed to it, but my thing is like, if it's right, I'm all for it. I know that it's been tried a couple times and the band itself got back together when one of our band members passed away like 2 years ago. We got back together, which was insane. But if it's right, I would totally be down for it. Totally.
So, all right. So, Todd, you got to listen. Cut the checks. Kumbaya.
I'm saying that.
Somebody got to say sorry to somebody. I don't know who, but somebody's got.
But you know, everyone is like really doing. Everyone's doing their thing. Like you know. If you know any of the band members, like Pudge is like, you know, with like Anita Baker and all these other people, Thaddeus Ty's brothers like John Baptiste, and like they're all, you know, Spanky is with Giveon. He was with Janet a couple months ago. So like everyone's kind of doing their thing. But like I said, like listen, if it's right and it's like all that, like I'm down. Just to be, you know, I'm down.
I love it. I love it. So there's so much I want to ask you, but I'm going to move on. Here's my thing, right? Right? Because you know a lot. All right. So now you decide to get into this music mentor space. My question, even with that, is how do you balance going from kind of showing people music theory, like true music theory, and how to play that type of stuff versus music history? Because you know, like, because it's a difference. There's two different lanes, and like you know both. How do you kind of differentiate when to kind of go into this versus that?
I mean, I think you just have to. You have to know, like, you have to know what you're in that place for. You know what I mean? If I'm there to, you know, do music theory, that's what I'm gonna do. But if I'm there to talk about, you know, Leon Silvers and the Silvers and Solar Records or whatever, you know, or Motown, like, yeah, that's what you know, I'll do it. You know.
Does it ever get frustrating when you kind of can see that people don't know the history of certain things? Like, because you know the world we live in now. We live in an information age where they don't always check the information. So, like,
no.
But does that ever get frustrating when you be like, you think that's what this is? Or you think that's how it's supposed to sound? Like,
it depends. Like, you know, the whole sampling thing, which I don't mind, but I love it when you can cite the source.
yes.
You know, but the thing is now, and the funny thing is, I'm getting ready to move towards the light. Think about that. The other thing about it now is that, and Prince predicted this many, many years ago. He said sampling will get so out of control that people will be sampling the sample people will be sampling the sample and not the original source. And so that's what's happening now. So we're not citing the source. You know what I mean? So you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know.
Yes, but you're right though. I mean, especially in the TikTok era, where you can sample the sample.
Yeah,
and then put your mouth over it and treat it like it's your words when you ain't even sing the song.
Like, why would you sample the SWV remix when you can sample Human Nature?
Yes.
I mean, I probably know why, because Human Nature is more expensive. But
yeah, but I would think that the sample's the sample. Like, either way, you got to pay for it because you still got to pay everybody.
Either way, you got to pay for it.
I'm thinking. Here's your schedule for the week. Saturday, get it started at the SoCo Art Night Market. Food, music, treat yourself to something hot at the Rock Lot. Or the Clayton Whistle train stop and see Death of a Boy, Birth of a Man by J Notes book release. Performances from Key Fontaine, the Blue Symphony. Sunday, where your kids at? We'll go and bring them to do crafts at the Delaware Art Museum. Or see Change live in concert, feel like a winner. That's Vel de Famea at the Congo Legacy Center. Or see the Whitney Project. Get that jazz in your system. They're going to bring the horns out. Riverfront Hair Pavilion. Monday, hey everybody, it's Naj and Jay. Have a good time. Watch them online at 8. At 9, see me online for a quick hat tip. I highlight the vibes and show love to what good folks did. Tuesday, Play Streets is back at Harlem School. Listen, fun food and fitness in memory of Rashima Dixon. You don't want to miss it. Or the Exquisite House of Peach. You know, they make it happen. This week, their guest, Miss Dorcia Batten. Wednesday, I'll say, let the good times start. Darnell Miller got them spinning house at the park. Thursday, grazing the grass. Get your frolic on. Let it bump at the park on Beach Street with Tim Dog. Then end it off with me on IG. That's Hats Off, the Delaware Music Network edition. I holla at y'all.
So with that said, now that takes me to the next question, right? Because even in the sample world, and even with what you do, right, one of the most ways that they sample, two places where they sample often, is hip hop and house. See what I did there? So, what brought you into now? What brought you from being such a soulful musician of all music genres that already were there, and then you go into house music, which isn't traditionally just played, but it's also DJ, and it's, you know, at times electronic, and like there's a lot of elements that go into house music. What got you into that world?
Well, I've always, the thing is, of course, I love every type of music, from Anthrax to Metallica to Reba. I love Reba McEntire, and I love Blake Shelton. But to James Brown, to Anderson. I love it all. Redman is one of my top 5 MCs. Redman and KRS, my two. But house is just, I've always loved house music. Even before I got into like trying to be a DJ. I don't consider myself a DJ. I like to have fun. But I don't know, it's something about house music, especially, I can't remember, I had to be like in my mid-20s. And I remember being in a club, and this was when I was like really like I was like really in the church. So I didn't go nowhere. Like I'm sitting in the bar drinking a Diet Coke, And then I remember just the DJ at that time. It was in Newark, New Jersey. I'll never forget. Like Newark, Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, they're like legendary house areas. And they was playing like, the house music, but it was like gospel. So it's like, and it's like, we fall down. I was like, oh, that's crazy. This is like house music. So then I really just started like getting into it, researching it, and I dig it. It's such an elevation that you get from house. Specifically, I tend to gravitate towards like the soulful deep house, the gospel house, you know what I mean, and some of the old disco. There's another genre called boogie. Boogie is like early Shalimar, early Whispers, bands like Aura, Sky, all that stuff. The Silvers, Dynasty, like, so all those are connected, you know what I mean? Kashif, early Kashif, some Evelyn Champagne King stuff like that, late 70s to mid 80s type of R&B funk type thing. So it's all connected. So I've always loved that type of stuff. But lately, like, I brought a little controller, and I said, I'm gonna learn how to DJ because I needed another release. You know what I mean? And I don't consider myself like a DJ that goes out and does gigs and I'm playing, especially like around here. But I'm a niche guy. So if you say I want house, disco, and boogie, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna have so much fun doing it because there's such a house music is spiritual. Like, to me, like if I'm playing like some Louis Vega, some Benny Medina, and they remix like a whining song, or they remix like a Kim song, like it's something about it. It's almost like if you go see a band live and they play and they get to a point where like the whole room is like on fire, like they're elevating. House music does that, and it just feels good. It feels good.
That is dope.
Yeah.
So now I gotta ask, when you're DJing, because that's what you are. I don't know what you listen. You can try to act like you're not DJ Darnell Miller up there, but you be DJ Darnell Miller up there.
I don't think I'm
not. I'm not. Listen, if y'all go to his page, y'all gonna see 3 different gigs where he's DJing. He just got done. So I ain't even listening to that part. But based on that, I gotta ask. So because you love it so much, now when I'm in rooms of, like, when I'm looking at everybody that's there, when you're DJing, is it about everybody else in the room and the feeling, or does it just hit you while you're playing? Like, how does that work?
Well, the one thing for me as a musician and as a DJ, I do not do requests at all.
Wow.
So I don't, because I'm not that type of DJ, or I'm not that type of musician. It's about reading the room. Like, you need to trust me to guide you on this thing. You know what I mean? And if you trust me, I'll get you where you need to go. So that's why, like, even on Thursdays at the Nomad, I call it Therapy Thursdays. Trust me to give you that, what you need before you go home, for happy hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not like an ego thing. I feel like you need to let the artist do the work, because that's what they are. They're artists. They're creators.
Yeah.
So let them do their thing. Like, you know, as a musician, you know, I can get a little reckless if you ask for a request. Like, I'll talk about you. I'll make up a song about you in the microphone or something. You know, but it's because like it's a pet peeve. So I'm really learning to like curb that. But my band be like, yo, you should have did that. You know what I'm
Let
saying?
me find out. Somebody was, hey, yo, can you play that Good Vibrations by Marky Mark? He was like, what?
Oh no, I'm really gonna chop you up. Like, listen. If you come to me asking for Good Vibrations, it's not happening. You can ask for Show Me Love, Robin, because that track goes hard. You
Okay.
can ask me for La Da Dee, La Da Da, because that track goes hard. But don't
Okay.
ask me for no Marky Mark. Don't do that.
You can't have a funky bunch. You
No,
can't
leave the
just
Funky
put a
Bunch
little
at
bit
home.
of
Leave them at home.
don't ask him for Mark Wahlberg, Donnie Wahlberg, Wahlburgers, none of them.
Wahlburger, none of it. Don't ask me for none of that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so even though you're not a DJ, but you DJing this stuff. So tell me, how did we get to House in the Park? Where'd that come from?
So House in the Park is actually like a national movement. So a couple years, House in the Park really started in Atlanta. There's different alliterations of house music outside. So New York and DC have something called Sunday Sermon, where they just come to the park. They have a number of DJs, and it's a great time. People bring blankets. It's just a great time. And Atlanta has House in the Park. And so last year, when the Grand was doing the whole Summer in the Parks thing, I was like, you know what? I want to see if this could work, House in the Park. So got one of my homies, DJ Nine, who specializes in house and disco, partnered with the Grand, you know what I mean? And we took over Tilton Park, and it was great. So we're doing it again Wednesday, July the 12th at 6. Now, I'm looking to do another one because I think house music outside is great. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that, you know, it could build enough where like I can kind of make it stand on its own. And I just had a thought the other day. I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could have a house in the park in Harriet Tubman Garrett Park? That would be insane. And you have like 4 or 5 house DJs and like everyone's just having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Food trucks, all kinds of stuff, you know. So I would love that. I love curating shows, whether it's a DJ show or an artist showcase. I love curating shows, and because it's a way for me to also teach about music, entertain and teach at the same time.
Right. Okay. And not for nothing, that makes sense even as a DJ. Because even as a DJ, truth be told, you're curating. That's what that is.
I love the whole idea of curating.
Yeah. So now, now I'm just curious. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to play? Do you prefer to DJ? Or do you prefer curation? Ooh.
I like to play. I like to play. I like for me and my band to be on stage after not seeing each other for 6 months and get on stage and play like we've been rehearsing for 12 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like I love it. But I do now. I'm getting a little bit older, not much. I do like curating because I just did last year I did like a number of artist showcases at Oddity, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved bringing artists together. You know what I mean? Especially like in this area, just young artists, all types of artists. I love that, and just continuing to create avenues for artists to perform down here, whether they're from here or not. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. That actually makes a lot of sense. Shouts out to the Shine a Light Festival. You feel me? I mean, to the Shine a Light show. I saw that you did that. Listen, you set that on fire.
Have you been a part of one of those?
No, well, you would know. You did the last one. That was the first one I knew about.
I did a couple of years. You know, I don't know if I'll do the next one, but I've done a couple of years, and it was fun. Me and Nikki Blue, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you heard of Nikki Blue, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think
I did. Listen, I'm gonna tell you how I listen. Nikki Blue is also there's a legendary Delaware song that got all the Delaware legends on it with Nikki Blue is on that as well. You know I'm bringing it all out. It all out. Bro, they ain't heard enough of that song. That's gonna be on my next playlist, my next little mixtape. I'm putting that out there.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody that Naja.
Jay Street, Naja Nicole, Maya Bellardo.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that was a part of that. Jay Street, everybody, Nikki, that was fun.
Yes.
And Tahira, who wrote it. Tahira, who wrote the song, who was actually a student of mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, okay. So now I got one more question for you before we get up out of here. This because we could keep going. But so I gotta ask, if you had to give advice to a younger version of yourself in 2023, right? So let's say there's a younger Darnell Miller in 2023, a 17-year-old, a youth, okay? A youth Darnell Miller in 2023. What advice would you give the youth version of Darnell Miller in 2023?
I would say speak up more, be a little bit more assertive, because, you're actually right. Even though the things that you have been through might have made you feel insecure and that you're wrong, but you're actually right. So speak up and ask for what you want and be more assertive.
There it is. Listen, there's somebody who needs to hear that. That's why somebody needs to know. Speak up, because you are right. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And here's the thing, a lot of people, even in your journey as a young artist, a lot of people will try to take credit, but you got to know without a shadow of a doubt that what you got, that's yours, and no one can take credit for it. And again, just speak up. I remember artists would tell me, you need to speak up more, and I don't, I think it was situations that I was in, leadership that I may have been under, that just caused me to not speak or to always doubt myself. But, I ain't doing that no more.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Know yourself. Speak up for yourself. Yeah. Listen, I'm here for it. Yeah. So before we get up out of here, so I do this situation, right? I tell people, I do got one more. What's the best concert you ever been to, Darnell? What's up?
Lord, that's easy. That's easy. Prince in Madison Square Garden.
Woo! Hold up, what year? Which version of Prince is this? You gotta talk about it. What we got?
I want to say, I still have the stub. It might have been 2011 or 2012. It was called the Welcome to America tour. And and the thing about Prince is no show is ever the same. So he reads the room. He understands where he's at. That show was amazing. He started the show. Now, if you're a New Yorker, you have to understand this. So he does this whole spiel at the top of the show about this is America. Don't get mad. You voted for us. Because he was on that type of time. But the show starts, right? And he starts with a Sylvester song. And everybody in that stadium went up. So one of my homies was saying, you got to understand, this is the city of Studio 54, Paradise Garage. This is the disco place. Prince sang that song, the whole MSG, they went up. That show was the best. It was church, it was the club, it was a house party. He was calling people on stage. Sherry Shepherd was on stage, Whoopi Goldberg. It was just crazy, And then he did this whole Purple Rain thing, and it was like church. It was just, that was probably the best. Prince.
Wow, I know it hit everybody's spirit. I feel like that had everybody in a vibe right there.
Yeah, it was insane. He understood that room. And then when Sheila E. popped up out the floor, and then Glamorous Life, and then he had Misty Copeland, the ballerina, come out and dance on the piano. It was just insane.
Wow.
Insane.
Yeah. Listen. I'm gonna tell you something, because the Prince show that I wish I could be at. There's a Prince show I wish I could. And you've seen. I I know you've seen the clip. Everybody ain't seen this clip. But there's a clip. I know you've seen it. There's a clip of James Brown at a small pack club. You know what I'm talking about.
I would never.
You know what I'm talking about.
So heartbroken to see this cat climb on this fake pole, and then the story goes after Prince was like,
"Hold on, Paul. I gotta tell the world how we got there, because in case they didn't see the clip, they might not know exactly what I'm talking about. So I gotta tell them. So here's how it worked, y'all. Understand something? James Brown is performing at a club after a show. Like he already did the show. Yeah. This is after the show. There's a small little venue. It might be like it's probably like how I would imagine locally the Nomad to be. Where it's just everybody come here after the spot. Right, after party vibe. James Brown's rocking out. He says, you know what, y'all? We got Michael Jackson in the building. What do? He calls up Mike. Mike walks up on the stage. He got the little sunglasses on, sings a little bit. Mike keeps it light. Mike ain't even doing too much. Right, bow. Then he said, you know who else we got? Prince. Prince climbs up on top of his bike. Oh, tell me about it.
Mike goes, Prince is out there. Because, they got this thing. So, that's when James Brown said, Prince is out there. And the rest is horrible.
Well, it's not horrible. So Prince got on his security guard's shoulders. Yes, Prince got a piggyback ride on top of onto the stage, y'all. I'm not lying. He did. Look, it's on YouTube. Literally comes up on the stage on the shoulders, then gets put down. He gets put down.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
After he grabs the mic and the guitar, Prince snapped up. He acted out. He had to show
because he was trying to show Mike up.
He wanted to show Mike that he was him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
My guess is that he was probably still mad because LaToya turned him down. But that's my guess.
I think they had a couple things that they didn't get along about.
They was cool. They was cool, but I did hear like after that particular event, Prince tried to run Michael over.
Yo, facts. Listen, if y'all want a real history lesson, go back a few years and find Quincy Jones's interviews. Because Quincy Jones did some interviews where he said some stuff that I can't even repeat.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, their relationship was weird. He did try to date LaToya at one point. LaToya was like good because she was dating Bobby DeBarge, so you know that. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
So they always been around each other. I just think that it's competition. Good competition, very competitive.
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. Listen, it's even posthumous. We still compare them. You got to.
Oh yeah, people still, and it's like it's really apples and oranges, but
Yeah. I look at Prince's. Prince might be the greatest musician, if not one of the greatest musicians, right? Whereas Mike is the greatest entertainer. They do like I get how the world compares them, but they really not the same.
Yeah, Mike is production, lights, camera, action. Prince is gonna get up there with 5 other musicians and wear you out.
Yes,
for a good 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, both amazing.
Yeah.
Both. Oh man.
Yeah.
Woo, I'm glad we took that detour. I didn't even expect that coming. That was great. All right, now
start talking about Prince's problem.
I love it. So now here's what I do, right? I do this thing where I tell people, if you give me a word, I give you a poem, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm telling you that so you can start thinking of a word while I plug I'm hosting Ali Dope on July 16th with Shakira Jones and Marcus Hakeem at the Oddity Bar. See your boy. Listen, I'll be hosting, giving out gratitude to the vibes. And on July 21st, Dustin Minucci Trio. That's a fact at Finnegan's Pub, and I'll be hosting the Delaware Music Network. Yes. Y'all know, Dustin be shredding. He don't play no games.
Me and Dustin come from the same guitar teacher.
Really?
Yeah. We come from the same guitar teacher.
That's dope.
I remember seeing Dustin. He was like a little one.
Right. Yeah. Hey, he was Lil Manooch. And he had an eye yet.
Call him that. Lil Manooch.
Oh, I love it. Oh man. So listen, that's gonna be at Finnegan's Pub on July 21st. That's gonna be a vibe. Also, I just wanted to mention, Again, I do have to say, listen, Delaware Music Network, shouts out to them. I was the featured artist of the month. This is my birthday month, so it works. So go to g-jones.com, y'all. Get yourself a book. It's 20% off if you use code DMN23. DMN23, g-jones.com. Get yourself the book Day by Day Volume 1. All right. Oh, and I got a show coming up with Harvey Road. What? That's a fact. I'm doing one with Harvey Road. September 9th. Listen, it's going to be a vibe. Y'all going to see how it's cooking. Now, I feel like I gave you time to think of a word. See what I did there? Mm-hmm. Go and give me a word, Mr. Miller.
Agree.
Agree. I love that word. Okay. I'm thinking, is it Mike or is it Prince? Okay, I get it. You might not have to see the way that I see, so I can pause one more time so you can answer me. Is it Chris Breezy or Beyonce? Some would say they disagree either way. Okay, fine. We can change it and pivot. Look at it this way. Is it Babyface or R. Kelly? That's probably a name that I'm not supposed to say, really. But y'all, I don't know if y'all know what to tell me. I'm just trying to put y'all on opposing sides so y'all can figure out why, if y'all feeling like it's just fly. Fine, I'm going to ask you before you get a chance to decide what it's supposed to be. How you feeling the vibes? And y'all, somebody got to help educate me. I get it. Sometimes how you may see things or how you may appreciate things may ask you, is it Sade or is it when Anita Baker sings? Somebody tells me that I'm not supposed to be comparing these things. Okay? I know. I'm sorry even if that's you, but I'm still trying to ask you, is it supposed to be Mary J. Blige or do you prefer Erykah Badu? Everybody got a thing that makes their soul feel true. Is it about the bop and the bounce for you, or is it about the production and how the mood moves? See, is it about how the words were written and the lyrics get to you, or is it about that groove and how they do what they supposed to? Somebody got to tell me if it's meant to be Frankie Beverly or Ronald Isley. Come on, brother. They all brothers. I'm just trying to help to figure out what you love, because some people care about the vocals and somebody care about how that band strokes you. See, it's something different about how it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. You can tell me or ask me which genre I prefer. Do you like the R&B? You want that hip hop, sir? Do you want them to bring the guitars out, or do you want? Oh, no doubt. This is where it starts to ask questions before they roll out, because them guitars could take you through something from the funk to the blues to the rock and roll too. Which one do you choose? I get it. You probably don't got a clue. I know. That's just what that music is supposed to. Personally, even if they say, I'll house you, is you still agreeing with what that house do? Or do you only like how them house moves when Beyonce sing that Church Girl too, but you never heard Robin that Show You Love, Not To You? I'm just trying to see if you agree with where it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to feel. This is music that hits you spiritually. If you agree that the vibes can elevate, then you agree with me. Andy, Darnell, that's all I got. I'm just G. Y'all heard it. G-Jones. Listen, my man Darnell Miller, we out here, you know. Hey.
That's good, brother. That's good, brother.
I appreciate you, man. I'm honored you gave me the word. I got to do this. That felt good, brother. That felt good.
Listen, man. All it takes is a word.
That's a fact. Listen, like all it takes is a word. So before we get up out of here, anything else you want to say to the people?
I just want to, first of all, you know, I want to shout out Marcus Akeem. That's little bro right there. You know, he's the new David Bowie.
Yes. Talk about it.
But House in the Park, July 12th, 6 o'clock. Tilton Park is free 99. There's going to be a fun art activity for the whole family. DJ 9 is spinning. I'm chilling. I'm hosting. Also, every other Thursday, starting next Thursday, I'll be at the Nomad for happy hour, 5 to 8. We call it Therapy Thursday. House, deep house, soulful house, disco. Also, I will be at Oddity tomorrow night at 9, just supporting the brothers Napoleon and Manny. You know, they had a couple situations happen, but I'm coming. I just want to come there to support them and do a DJ set there and just support what they're trying to do. And I'm doing a special happy hour I'm always at the Nomad. What's that about? Anyway, but I'll be at the Nomad tomorrow for happy hour doing 90s and 2000s hip hop and R&B, which is not my thing, but I'm doing it for my homie Shane because he asked me to, you know. So come and it's gonna be a good time tomorrow. Other than that, I got some new music coming. It's been a while. So I'm working with a song with a guy named Chris Stevens. He's from a band called Vertical Current. So I have a song with him coming out. And if you don't have my music now, go on Spotify. I do have a house song that is out now. It was released a couple years ago. It's called Keep Pushing. Love it. And I'm about to do a whole remix EP of that song coming soon. And yeah, that's it.
Woo! My bad working. Listen, so here's what I advise y'all to do if y'all watching this now. When I post this, rewind to the back, like rewind that part because he doing a lot of work. Like the boy working. Okay, he outside, inside, all sides.
And at the same time, you know, I'm still teaching. I'm doing I take private students for guitar, and I'm a vocal coach. So like, you know, some of my students are dope, and they're because of them, not because of me, but they're dope.
But see, that's the thing is when you giving the knowledge, you're not only giving just the knowledge of the theory, but you're giving the history. So when people know what dope is, that's the problem. The problem is when people don't know what dope is, they don't know how to achieve it. They don't know what they're reaching for. They're just out there doing what's popular. Popular ain't always dope. Don't get me on the soapbox. I ain't gonna do it. I promise I'm not.
Shout out to DMN, everybody involved with the Delaware Music Network. Shout out to y'all.
Yes. Oh man, I feel all honored. You won the previous artist of the month. You did that. You did that too. That's on the list of accomplishments. So listen, but that was on my list. That's what I made.
I'm grateful.
That's the fact. All right, again, thank you again. I really appreciate this conversation. With all the technical difficulties, we had a great conversation.
We made it through, man.
That's the fact. Y'all check out House in the Park. It's gonna be a vibe out there. Listen, it's gonna be some bops. And hit up the Nomad because it's gonna be some bops there on the regular. And the Oddity Bar because they bopping too on some inclusive vibes. You feel me? They got the inclusive vibes. You heard
right.
Listen,
right. Trying to help them out. Right.
That's a fact. All right. This G-Dash hats off. Next week, I'm going to see y'all. It's the Delaware Music Network version. So I'm going to have all the features for the month. I'll see y'all next Thursday at 7:30. And for now, I appreciate y'all. Have a great day. I holla.